Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what is the 18th day of August here. We've had week one in preseason. Going to touch on that just a little bit. Looks like I'm a little bit early, but hey, rather be early than be late. Got a great show with you on for tonight. Going to talk about the NFC West. Also touch a little bit on Ty Simpson. Looks really good. Not so much for Cam Ward and whatnot. So stand by, take my first and only break, and I'll be back here momentarily, and we will hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. If I can find my... You are listening to the Real Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show on the planet. Honest but fair opinions and admission when I'm wrong. If you want to be part of this success, you can reach me at the word sports with an S, another S, KOPE at gmail.com. Again, that is the word sports with an S, another S, KOPE at gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. Maybe I should have had it a little bit longer. But anyways, that's my new promo. Again, this is the most influential sports talk show on the planet. Don't you forget about it. Okay, now, I know Ty Simpson, it's a preseason game. I get it. But let me tell you this. Very impressive, 21 out of 25. I mean, that's one of the best preseason openers for a rookie quarterback that I've ever seen. Mind you, he only had one full year starting quarterback with the Alabama Crimson Tide. There was a lot of talk about him coming back. Thought he should have came back, but Rams took a chance on him, took him with the 13th pick overall, got a lot of heat for that. I'm taking a general manager approach, looking at Matt Stafford's age. I was one to say, hey, listen, let this guy sit behind Stafford. Let him learn under Sean McVay's system. This could be a really good transition for the LA Rams organization. So far, yeah, it's early. But listen, there's guys like Russell Wilson, okay, really look good in training camp. Team already signed a quarterback. We saw what happened with Wilson when he took over with the Seattle Seahawks. Same thing a few years later. Dak Prescott comes in. Was he like a third, fourth round pick, something like that? Nobody thinks anything of it. Looks really good in the preseason. Tony Romo, older Tony Romo, coming back from injury. We saw what happened there. This guy goes on to be their franchise quarterback and is their franchise quarterback. So I do think it's something. It's not the end-all, be-all. But listen, I do think that this guy is impressive. Let's take a look at the film. Enough of me talking here.
Cam Ward.
Here we go.
This is our first look at Ty Simpson, the first-round draft pick for the Rams, in it quarterback.
Focus on the things that you control, which is your practice every day, and how you're going to perform training camp was really amazing. And I know every Chiefs fan like me was so excited
to make an impact here, and I think they want Stafford to play a few more years, though.
For sure. Simpson moving to his right a second time, and this throw is on target.
In this situation, as you said, having a veteran like Stafford that you can learn from, have opportunities.
Simpson the throw, and the catch is made. Ty Simpson, the quarterback, pump fake, and then he'll deliver to the tight end. Simpson with time, and he'll throw it again. It's Claire.
Mount's in your pocket, so now you can work the middle of the field if you want.
Simpson another completion, and that was a nip. And that throw.
I mean, 1, 2, 3 throw, 1, 2, 3 throw, 1, 2, 3 throw, 1, 2, 3 throw. That is how you're supposed to do it. Not like, for example, and I'll come back to him in a little bit later. For example, Cam Ward. Watch this film from a young man from TikTok who seems to have better coverage of this than I do, but listen up. Watch.
Cam Ward's first play this preseason is so ugly it may change how I feel about him going forward. What is he doing climbing the pocket like this? Football out in front of him, both hands on it, eyes on it, while his tight end is wide open down the field. How is it even possible in the NFL that your first read breaks wide open and you're stanced up like you're about to punt the football away? It's almost as if he feels like he has to squeeze through space here, but he's got acres of space. Just weird instinct.
Yeah, I mean, that's just unbelievable there. You got a guy who has played in the let me see what happened there. God, I can't stand these people at Facebook. Facebook issue, its possible stream was ended or deleted on Facebook. We'll keep trying to let you know result. Okay. I could just choke these people at Facebook. I tell you, they've got such. I think they probably call that some kind of copyright. You know, if I get my hands on that Zuckerberg, I want to choke him sometimes. But Lord forgive me. Okay, now, yeah. So that's the way the position's supposed to be played. The 1, 2, 3 throw vision, get the ball out of your hand as much as possible. Now, I understand that's easier to coach to an undersized player like a Ty Simpson compared to a Josh Allen with extreme athletic ability, or taller player like a 6'3" Cam Ward or somebody of that nature. I get that. But, I tell you what, this guy really looks to be, like I said, 21 of 25, 125 QBR rating, 2 touchdowns, no near perfect preseason game. Like John Wooden said, the former coach of the UCLA Bruins, I think won like 9 or 10 championships. Play fast, but don't get in a hurry. That's the same thing with a quarterback. Make decisions. 1,000, 2,000 decision make. 1,000, 2,000. Don't hem haul around there. All right. And then the flip side, you saw the Cam Ward and his issue looking up with his poor mechanics, not being able to see the field, and you're watching him, not just that, just some of the practice. By the way, I picked up a guy that's a chiropractor. I do a lot of ride share. I do Uber and whatnot. So I picked up their chiropractor, Didn't even ask him to come on the show. Guy was really tired, a little bit standoffish, but he did talk a little bit. And I told him, I said, I think he hangs on the ball too much. He said, yep, you're right. You're all right. I seen him in the ones. That's his problem right now. That's all he said. He hangs on to the ball too much. He said the practices are where you really get a gist of where teams are, because the ones are against the ones, right? And you see the fact that, not the fact that he was 5 for 12, 57 yards. It's just his nonchalant stance. Now, he had that in college where he's just kind of, super relaxed. Yeah, that looks cool in college. But the pros, you got to be upright. You have to have your stance correctly. They're so much faster. Everything's going on. He's coming into year 2. He's got all this experience in the NFL. And it just does not look good for him. He's got to make quicker decisions, all right? That's just one example of him. There's other examples of him turning around, turning his back on the defense. I mentioned Tony Romo. Tony Romo had a bad habit of that, per se. And I'll say this. You got Brian the Ball there. I'm hearing a lot about this receiving core, reading a lot about with the rookie there. His name is slipping my mind. But with that upgraded receiving core, this running game, about a lot of push on the offensive line for Tennessee in the running game. Pollard looks to be in great shape there at the running back position. But you've got him, Ward, taking his time, not reading, not making these quick reads, still in those bad habits. If he looks like this in December, if Cam Ward looks like this in December, the Titans have to come up with a plan to get a new quarterback, whether it be through the draft. And you said, well, that's pretty soon. Well, because he's got Brian the Ball there, okay? He's in his second year. They've got a above average to potentially good receiving core added on this team. It just doesn't look good. Now, I think the defense is going to keep them in games. I think the running game is going to be much better. I'm not totally out on him, but I'm very disappointed at where he is at this particular time in his career. Okay? All right. Other notes, Ty Simpson, best week of anybody. Fernando Mendoza, I like his quick decision-making, like some of the throws that he was making. I think he'll be starting by week 5. This is just preseason games. You're putting him under center. Looks really good. Carson Beck, Arizona, going to talk about them here in just a minute. Look good. We saw him in the Hall of Fame game, making quick decisions here. The rookies, so far, so good, right? Even Drew Aller, not a bad outing from Drew Aller and what he's doing up there in Pittsburgh, folks. So everybody's looking good. Cam Ward, very bad performance. Hopefully he's hearing these criticisms, and hopefully Brian DeBall showing what this young man showed here on TikTok. Hey, man, you got a guy wide open. You got to make that throw. Stop trying to make the big throw, the intermediate throw, the check downs. The check downs is where you're going to make your money at. Drive for dough, drive for show, putt for dough. That's the putt for dough is making those check downs. I do believe the ball can get it out of him, but right now, not where I think he should be starting off in preseason here. They've got a lot of, and I think he's got the right attitude to get there, but right now he is simply not there. He does not need to be looking like this come December. If not, that's 2 years in, a year with this coaching staff, pending a bunch of injuries there. You've really start to formulate a plan to get another quarterback. And I'm sorry, hey, what really is frustrating about that with the guy like a Cam Ward is they had 2 or 3 opportunities to trade that pick and they didn't. They could have had Dart and another pick, or just a very good player and another pick that they could have used this past year per se. They could have had Ty Simpson and a quarterback that could he could be backing up right now. So it's very frustrating if you're here in the Nashville area. It's not the end of the world. Let's see where he's at as we get through training camp and into week 1. But if they lose week 1 to the Jets, the lowly Jets, which they could, it's going to be a long season here in Nashville. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, now, NFC West. All righty here. Arizona. Speaking of bad teams here, Lindy's Magazine's picking them to finish 4th. They put the hot seat here is this also 4th, and that's the general manager. Kept his job this offseason, posting the same losing record, 15-36 as a head coach. Was initially made the change. They moved off Jonathan Gannon. I said that from the – now, listen, folks. I think this Mike Bidwell, this owner here of Arizona, I think the word has got around. This guy's got a little bit of a temper problem. Don't think they're going to attract the best talent. Meeting quite a few people from Phoenix area. Phoenix folks, I'm sorry. I'm not sure about your ownership per se. The guys that's got that reputation, and once you get that reputation, it's hard to get rid of that reputation. But he's one of the worst. He's not. I don't know if he's as bad as Cincinnati owner or the former owner of the Commanders bad, but he's down there as far as people you want to work for. I wouldn't want to work for this guy. You know, he come in there hollering at me. I'll tell you what, you go ahead and coach this job. I'll go find something else. I'm not going to listen to that. Okay. So that's why I think they're attracting people like Jonathan Gannon, per se. Gannon was the former defensive coordinator for a stacked Eagles team that could not get a stop in the second half of the Super Bowl. And that's why they lost that other Super Bowl to the Chiefs, not the one the past Super Bowl win 2 Super Bowls ago, the one a few years before that they blew the lead because they couldn't get a stop there in the second half. Patrick Mahomes was willing and dealing them, and this guy gets a head coaching job, you know. But anyways, he wasn't as bad as I thought he was going to be, and you know, Kyler Murray was inconsistent. He's hurt all the time. Now they've moved off Kyler Murray. Jacoby Brissett is a starting quarterback for him. Really a career backup. He did have a decent year. I talked about the coordinator. They did obviously lose that offensive coordinator. They got a whole new coaching staff led by Mike LaFleur, 39-year-old younger brother of the Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur was a assistant there with the Rams, and now he does have this team. I mentioned Carson Beck looked really good in the Hall of Fame game the other day. Experience. I do think Beck will be playing somewhere between week 5 and week 6, depending on how this team fares out. I will say this, and I was looking at their roster. You look at a guy that they drafted in Jeremiah Love with the 3rd pick overall. You look at a Michael Wilson who really came about himself as a receiver there, made some plays down the stretch there. I still haven't given up on Marvin Harrison Jr. considering that quarterback situation, the highly draft pick that they picked up a few years ago out of Ohio State. And, of course, McBride may be the best tight end in football. Him and Brock Bowers are right there. Trey McBride is just balling out of control here. They're tight end there. So they got some pieces there offensively to work with. A little bit to be desired with the defense there, led by Josh Sweat there. You really wait and see. They've got 7 players back on defense, 9 on offense there. Maybe they're a quarterback away, you know. Maybe essentially they're a quarterback away. But when you're that questionable at quarterback, and I'm just not sure about the 39-year-old Mike LaFleur, their over and under is about 3.5 wins. That's about what I see them winning this year. There'll be plenty of guys available. I've talked about that ad nauseum with my college football. By the way, I've reached out to my man Rich Ferris. I reached out to Rich Ferris for Big Tan and Rich and Big Tan and Kenny and Steph. I've offered those guys to come on the program. Little quick program announcement while I'm here. Offer those guys welcome to come on the program, not next Monday or Tuesday, but the following Monday or Tuesday when we're at August 31st, around September 1st. The college football season's been put off a week because Labor Day is a week later this year. So we'll be doing that college football show like we did for the playoff last year. That got very good ratings here on the program. A lot of people like that show where I have Seth and, of course, myself and Carlos will be here with Richard and Kenny and Seth here. The Big Ten guys will pick the college football playoff here coming up in a couple weeks. So, but anyways, I do think this team, now I had them at 2-15. That's probably a little harsh there. Could they win 4, 5, 6 games? Yes, they could very well. With those offensive pieces there, with injuries around the league, with playing with a team like the Rams, well, they play the Rams in November. I was thinking they're going to play the Rams towards the end of the season, but they could go on a little bit of a winning streak. Their bye week is very late in the season. It's on December 13th, that week of the 13th, and then they have 4 games. They could win. They could beat. I had them beating the Jets. They could beat the Jets and the 49ers and Vegas there. And like I said, going a little bit of a winning streak there. So, like I said, they were 3-14 last year. They could lose some. It just depends. I'm not really a big Mike LaFleur. Nobody knows what he's going to do. 39-year-old head coach. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. How it plays out for them. Got them finishing close to the bottom. I don't know if they're going to be as bad as the Jets. There could be a surprise team that could be a stinker. We never know. It's hard to predict injuries. Okay. So that's an Arizona Cardinals review. Now, next page here, I'm just going and I'll give you my full standings report here in just a minute. But the next page here, I'm looking here at the LA Rams, folks. Of course, they lost Mike LaFleur. But I'll say they made some big, aggressive offseason moves. Remember, they brought in early in the offseason, made the trade with Kansas City. Brought in Trent McDuffie. Their biggest weakness was cornerback last year. They brought in Trent McDuffie, traded a first-round pick for him, and they also have who did they pick up? They added Watson here. I want to say his name. I'm trying to look for this guy. Was it from Kansas City? If I looked at my notes, it would be better, right? Yeah, Jalen Watson there. They signed free agent slot corner Jalen Watson, and then they also traded for Trent McDuffie to size up their secondary, and then they turn around in the middle of the summer and traded Jared Verse. First round and second round pick, future first round picks for the great Myles Garrett, who had 23 sacks last year. So now they are heavy favorites now, plus 500 to 550 to win the Super Bowl. Second is Buffalo at plus 1,000, according to Vegas odds there. Everything is about Matt Stafford and how well he stays upright. Can they keep the left tackle position healthy? I mean, they've got really minor problems, 11 offense, 11 defense, and the players that they've upgraded, I just mentioned, are going to be tremendous upgrades. Now, this book mentions a hot seat for Puka Nacua. Could they use some depth there at the wide receiver position? Devontae Adams is a little long in the tooth. They could have used a Malachi Lemon, although he's having a rough count with the Eagles. Could have used that receiver instead of Ty Simpson this year? Yeah, you can make that argument since Puka has had his off the field issues and Devontae Adams is age there, but they've got just a ton of tight ends there that they've been using, very deep there, and they've got a really good system, excellent running back in Kyron Williams. Could this team try to go 17-0? They could. Plus, they made Aaron Donald has been trying out for the team. I haven't read anything official. I think he will if he has not already came back since I've been doing my research or since I've started the program. Could Aaron Donald come back? Yes, he could come back. I think he will come back. Like a lot of players that come back at his age after they're retired or they want to blow off training camp. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. They want to blow off training camp and just play the games. So, but with conservative is McVay is with his players' health and whatnot. He was one of the few coaches to not play any starters in the preseason. They start off like 5-0 or something one year and got to the Super Bowl a few years ago. So I do think they're going to go about 14-3. They're going to be eyeing for the 1 seed. I think that's what they want to do. And here's the crazy part about it is they get the 1 seed. They don't have to leave LA. The Super Bowl's in LA. You talk about the perfect storm for the owner, Stan Kroenke. You get the 1 seed. You stay in LA. You play 2 games. You don't have to travel for the Super Bowl. I mean, this is a perfect setting there for the LA Rams here. And And I got their losses being at Denver because they come off of Monday, a short week there where they play the Giants on Monday night. I got them losing to the Chargers after a road game with Vegas. And I think I have them losing at Seattle at the very end because I think that they could potentially be so far ahead where they could be rested starters at that point. So, we'll see what happens. I'm buying in. Everything depends. Can you keep Stafford upright? Can you keep this team relatively healthy? They should be a shoe-in for that top spot there in the NFC and probably all of the National Football League. Okay, now 49ers, talked before. Got some pushback on this take. I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I think John Lynch could potentially be fired this year, taking a lot of risk here on player. Just bad draft picks, man. This magazine has Ricky Pearsall on the hot seat. Well, that was a John. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's pushing for that, but Lynch could be the fall guy. I talked about that before in the program. I think maybe Shanahan's got too much authority with the general manager there. And but he does run a good system. I mean, they're potentially could have been a 1 seed last year. They've been in a few Super Bowls. They couldn't get it right at quarterback position. Now they've got too many injuries. They hang on to too many older players. They have one of the oldest offenses in the NFL, other than Brock Purdy. I screenshotted this. They have Trent Williams, 37 years old, and they didn't even address that in the first round. He was hurt last year, and they're a different team when he's not in there. He's going to get hurt this year. He's 37. And I love Trent Williams. He may be a Hall of Famer. Cal, I can't remember. This guy, really good kicker there, is 35 years old. Kittle's 32. They bring in Mike Evans, and Evans has had a hamstring injury for 5 years with Tampa. I thought it was a good move for Tampa to let Evans go. He's injury-prone player. I think Pearsall's already out for the season. They mentioned the hot seat here. I want to say he's already out for the season. Christian McCaffrey's banged up. They haven't even started camp yet. Not to mention guys like Nick Bosa's hurt from last year. Fred Warner was hurt from last year. They still play decent at times on the defensive side of the ball. Kasaloff had these guys coached up. Now, they did bring in Raheem Morris. That's one positive I can say about the 49ers. They did bring in Raheem Morris, very good coordinator when he was with the Rams. Decent coordinator wherever he's been, per se. Kind of got a bad rap there with the Falcons as a head coach, but he's brought back there. So he will be an offensive coordinator. And they also lost Juwan Jennings. So, it's just really they brought back Deebo Samuel, but, he's an older player as well. So this is a banged-up team. This is going to be a banged-up team. They had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL last year. Their over and under is 11.5. I'm going to take the under there, and I'm going to say this team is going to go 9-8. They're going to go 9-8 this year, and they'll be lucky to be a wild card. I think they'll probably come up short when you look and see what I've already had for the I haven't even done and I'll do my playoff stuff later on towards when we get closer to the season here. I'll give you my final playoff standings. Next, I've got to get started on the AFC, folks. But I'm just saying, right now, if you look at how I've had 2 10-7 teams in the NFC East, you look at the NFC North teams, there's a chance maybe they get in as a last wild card. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to miss the playoffs this year. And I think maybe John Lynch, because of his draft picks, could be the fall guy, or Shanahan's read the ultimatum where he cannot make any more authority with these draft picks, and they've got a draft need. They got to get Trent Williams replaced. Okay, they've got to get younger there offensively. I would have probably moved off Kittle. I would have moved off McCaffrey. Definitely moved off Trent Williams, and they just can't find the replacements there. And I definitely wouldn't have signed Mike Evans. I mean, that's dud. You know, you can't keep starting off the season there on IR. Okay, so I've got them at 9-8. Okay, now Seattle. Lindy's Magazine's picking them to finish second. I think that's probably about right. Their biggest loss. But I will say this, Seattle's in much better shape than I thought they were coming in before I started doing this preview and breaking down. Clint Kubiak, their offensive coordinator, is now the head coach there of the Raiders with Fernando Mendoza. They brought in Brian Fury from San Francisco, tight end coach there. Run game coordinator, so their run game is going to be pretty good. They did lose Kenneth Walker to Kansas City in free agency, but I like this Jonathan Jadarian Price first-round pick. He was the other running back, folks, with the Notre Dame Irish there. That was a very good running back. He was just overshadowed because Love was just killing it. He was overshadowed by Jeremiah Love, per se. Lost to safety Kobe Bryant and Boyd Maui defensive end, though. But their defense is pretty solid. They got 10 starters back there. So I guess Maui was considered a rotational player. So I do think this team, they're not going to be as good as last year where they have won 14 games or something like that. And some of them were fluke wins there at the very end. I do got them going 11-6. I think this guy, although he's a first-time play caller, their running game is going to be good with this running back here, and Charbonnet is supposed to be back. I think this guy's going to be a very good fantasy player, this Jordan Prince there. And, of course, they re-signed their star receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba there. I wouldn't have gave him all that money, but – they've already extended him. They feel like he's a money ball player. They've already extended Jackson Smith-Njigba. So, like I said, got them going 11-6 here. And that's the finish out the NFC West. Boy, that went quicker than I thought it was going to go. Okay, now, NFC West. All right, so let's recap here. The Rams, 14-3. They're going to win the division. Seattle finishes second, 11-6. San Francisco, 9-8. And, of course, the lowly Arizona, 2-15. Now, of course, like I said, could they go 5-12, 6? Yes, with that offense, Arizona could do it. That's just a conservative estimate there. I do think that Carson Beck was going to play at some point this year, and you don't know what you're going to get out of Arizona. Okay? All right. Okay, other news and notes here. Let's see if I had some screenshots here. You know, something I just do not know. And I mentioned this on draft night. I did pick the Saints of all teams. I did pick them regardless of what they did with this guy, this Jordan Tyson here, this wide receiver that they picked in the first round here. I want to say he was out of Arizona State or something. This injury-prone player, put this on they put this on their show this morning here on ESPN. This guy tore his ACL back in 22, MCL, PCL, left knee, missed 11 games in 2 seasons. 24, he broke his collarbone, missed 2 games. 25 had an hamstring injury, missed 3 games. That's every year the guy's been in college and he's been injured. And yeah, he's very talented, but often injured. But the Saints there, still got that same general manager, Mickey Loomis, which I would have moved off of as well. He's kind of ran his course. He's the guy that should have blown that team up years ago, although they look to be pretty good right now. Other than this pick, and I thought this is a terrible pick. Well, I'll say all that because he's going to be out for 2 months. He's going to be out for 2 months with the air quote. You said you figured it out. Another hamstring injury. Okay, so it's August, September, October. Maybe you get him back. I don't think he's going to he's going to hurt them that much. I mean, Olave's their lead. I think they'll have some other guys step up because they got a pretty good quarterback, head coach, and relationship there with Keelan Moore there, and Tyler Shuck, the quarterback. But I just thought, this one was an easy one. This one was an easy layup here not to do so, okay? Also, the AP poll has came out in college football, and this On3 site put out the most top 25 opponents of any team in college football. And it says 7 top 25. These teams have 7 top 25 opponents here. Texas has 7. Like I said, they got the hardest schedule in the country with Kentucky and Arkansas. 6 top 25 opponents. You got quite a few more teams. You got Oklahoma, Michigan, Mississippi State, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. A lot of the SEC teams. Like I said, Ohio State, this is the most difficult schedule I can ever remember them having. They usually have a light schedule themselves. And then you got a lot of teams with 4 and 5 top 25 opponents there. But listen, I mentioned this the other day. Notre Dame, not in this list, 66th ranked schedule in the entire country. Really got to get up 2, maybe 3 times the whole season. They don't have 4 top 25 opponents like an Oregon, Tennessee, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Indiana, Cincinnati, and Wisconsin. For the 5 teams are USC, Auburn, Purdue, Washington, Minnesota. So it's just a lot of Big Ten SEC teams having to have a much more difficult road than, say, a Notre Dame per se. Okay, so this is another reason why Notre Dame should be in a conference. And if they slip up and get 2 losses to some team you've never heard of, and you got an SEC team or a Big Ten team with 3 losses, or maybe even depends on how the schedule, shakes out, maybe even an ACC team, that I'm taking the 2-loss team or the 3-loss team, if depending on the losses, over a Notre Dame team with 2 losses. You just can't keep giving Notre Dame this golden path here. So I thought that was an interesting observation. More drama here with the LA Lakers. I told you I thought that was a little bit of strife there with Jenny Buss and the family. I've mentioned that before in the past, and I thought it was kind of weird. I was talking to this guy the other day about how interesting it would be if they ever would sell the team, considering the fact that the whole family's involved. Well, the family tried to sell the others tried to sell the Lakers without Jenny Buss's consent, and she has put a stop to it. Let me read this here. Despite reporting that all 6 Buss siblings had agreed to sell the final 17.8% share in the team, Lakers governor, they call them governors instead of owners, a bunch of nonsense there. But anyways, Jenny Buss is reportedly contesting the sale. In a letter obtained by multiple outlets, Buss's lawyer, Adam Streisand, wrote that she's opposed to selling the team and that any vote of any Buss siblings would be in void, given that they violate the requirements of the Buss Trust, which owns the shares of the Lakers. So that's still in limbo. Okay. Originally it was reported that they sold their part of the team. We know that the majority of the team's already been sold twice there. So very interesting oddball story out of the Laker La La Land. But we'll see how all this stuff plays out, folks. I'll be back on here Thursday with the Mad New Yorker. Sorry to my Facebook. I guess Facebook is just so particular about me using any kind of highlights. They got this AI that catches me and cuts me off. Every little thing is copyright to these people. although they use my likeness like nobody's business and trace our stuff on here. You know, I shouldn't be verified on there. I shouldn't give them any money. But anyways, folks, again, I really appreciate you, all the followers from Uber, Lyft, all my rideshare people that's come on. Greatly appreciate that. I'll be back here Thursday with the Mad New Yorker. We'll talk one of these divisions and, of course, the biggest stories here in the wide world of sports. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you live then here on the Real Sports Scope. Good night, everybody.